Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, November 29th, 2017.
Commissioners Rivas, Repenning, James, and Jacinto are present. We have a quorum. We will start with Bureau introductions, beginning with the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ali Pusti, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Kimberly Fitzpatrick, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Mike Cirillo, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Alvin Glendale, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Good morning, Raul Mendoza, Assistant Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no cards under neighborhood council commentary, and no cards on any of the items.
Okay, we'll close general public comment as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. Housekeeping item, agenda items 5, 6, 10, and 11 have been continued to this Friday, which will be December 1st, 2017. That's 5, 6, 10, and 11 continued to this Friday, December 1st, 2017. Agenda items 1 through 3 are assessment hearings for Council Districts 2, 11, and 13. Mr. Flamenco from the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 1 through 3 pertain to lighting districts, which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Ballots for items 1 through 3 were mailed on October 19, 2017. Ballots for items 1 through 3 must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, December 6th. We have not received any objections to date on items 1, 2, 3. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 1 through 3 forthwith to City Council.
Any questions on agenda items 1 through 3? No objections on 1 through 3, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda items 1 through 3, seconded by Commissioner Rivas. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda items 1 through 3. Any issue sending 1 through 3 forthwith? We will send 1 through 3 forthwith. Agenda item number 4, task order solicitation number SN17. Amendment number 2, Corollo Engineers Incorporated for One Water LA Plan Phase 2. Recommending that the board first authorize the director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to issue amendment number 2 to task order solicitation SN17 to Corollo Engineers, and secondly, authorize increasing the budget by $450,000 and approve a revised total budget authority of $6,802,000 to fund the following additional services: additional stakeholder engagement activities and materials, project management, data gathering, presentation preparation, and meetings preparation. The term of the contract remains unchanged and ends on February 19th, 2018. Ms. Marrero, welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau, and City Attorney representatives and Executive Officer. My name is Lenny Marrero. I'm here representing LA Sanitation, requesting an amendment or authority to issue an amendment to TAS SN17. Like you mentioned, the original budget for the task was $6.3 million. This amendment is for $450,000, bringing the total contract ceiling to about $6.8 million. And the task that will be performed by Corollo Engineers and subconsultants include additional work that resulted from additional stakeholder engagement. We started the One Water plan development back in 2015, as I mentioned the last time I was here. It's been a 2-year process of stakeholder engagement, including city departments, other agencies, and public stakeholders. As a result of that extensive stakeholder engagement, we have had a lot of requests from stakeholders to look into some issues. We have had requests for additional studies. We have also had requests for additional stakeholder engagement, so workshops, separate meetings on focused topics. We actually added special topic group meetings that were focused on specific topics such as funding, partnerships and innovation, outreach and messaging, decentralized treatment. Those are some of the topics that we tackled in separate stakeholder meetings that were not originally planned. We additionally provided more time to complete the development of the One Water LA 2040 plan, given that the stakeholders felt like we needed more time for engagement. So we were originally supposed to finalize the document by March of this year. As a result of extended stakeholder engagement, we had to extend the schedule, and this is part of the reason for the amendment today. So the total contract ceiling goes up to 6.8, and the subconsultant amount total is about 3.1 million. The prime consultant gets about 3.6 million. And I wanted to point out one typo on the board report that was originally submitted. You have a corrected copy in front of you, but on the last page, or second to last page, page number 8, we have the totals for the amendment 2, which is the $450,000 and how it shows how it was distributed. There was a typo there for M2 resources. They were never part of the amendment, so that was added by mistake. So in the corrected copy, you would see there's no line for M2 resources, resulting in a difference of $3,910 on the total. The rest of the numbers should be correct. And pointing out some of the totals for MBE, WBE. Originally pledged was 0.1 for MBE back in 2015 when the contract was awarded. We have actually raised the 0.1 to 1%. We've done everything we can to add more sub-consultant engagement and development. For the WBE percentages, the original pledge was 7.6. We actually increased to 8.6, and this was as a result of Katz & Associate is a WBE firm, and they have been really involved in the engagement and the messaging of One Water. And most of the other percentages are consistent with the pledged amounts. And with that, I will take any questions that you have.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Davis, then go to Commissioner Repenning.
Yeah, I wanted a clarification. You said you had the WBE at 0.1 and you increased it to 1.0. Is that correct?
Not WBE. It was, I think, I may have misspoken. It's MBE, not WBE. MBE was originally 0.1. If you see on the table on page 7, originally pledged 0.1 under MBE.
So is that on the chart here, is that the female Native American firm?
No, the MBE firm is actually Cordova and Cynthia Ruiz and Associates.
Yeah,
Those are the
Cynthia.
two firms that are under MBE.
Okay, great. And so the fee that we have listed here on the 0.1, which is $5,000, really should be more. Is that correct?
That was the originally pledged. It actually went up to about $60,000.
That's what I
with
wanted
the
to know.
amendment. Yes.
So it's really 60,000.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning.
I just wanted to thank you, Lenise, for the improved levels for MBE and WBE participation in the amendment. I know we kind of talked about this type of work, this type of contract, when you see, first of all, the sheer number of sub-consultants, people participating in the contract, and when you look at the type of work that it is, i.e., in some cases specialized and in some cases less specialized, it seemed like one where it would be important for us to achieve the types of participation that we like to see. So thank you for doing that in this amendment.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Repenning. And also, Ms. Murray, I would just thank the Bureau for the detail of the tasks that the additional funding will cover. It's always helpful to make our record, whether it's the oral record or the written record, so we appreciate that. Just the question I do have, though, was the $450,000, is that a negotiated lump sum amount, or is it an estimated amount that we expect to be billed hourly or monthly over the remaining time of the contract?
This is a lump sum amount, but we did go through negotiations with the consultant as to the work that remains to be done, and that's about the amount that we'll cover, but it's a lump sum contract.
Okay, so the lump sum, but it was a negotiated lump sum,
Right.
obviously. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you. Any other questions on number 4? Okay, is there a motion on number 4? By Commissioner Repenning, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 4. Any issues sending number 4? Yes,
And
ma'am.
if I can point out, I
Oh, yes.
forgot, I did bring a copy of the progress report,
Yes.
so you know what has been done to date. There's also a public copy available.
Very helpful, thank you. And let's do the forthwith on agenda item number 4. Any objections to sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number, first of all, before we go to agenda item number 7, Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, November 3rd, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? With that objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item, give me just a minute, I'm losing everything here.
Commissioner James, for the record, the approval of item number 4 was as amended.
Oh, yes. I apologize. So let's go through the process again. Regarding agenda item number 4, the motion is as amended. The second is as amended. Any objection to the as amended motion? No objection to the as amended motion. We'll send it forthwith as amended as well. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Agenda item number 7, contract amendment number 1 with West Coast Rendering Company for dead animal processing and recovery services from the Bureau of Sanitation and the Bureau of Contract Administration, recommending that the board authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute amendment number 1 to personal services contract with D&D Service doing business as West Coast Rendering to remove the language requiring a performance bond, and secondly, return the executed contract amendment to the Bureau of Sanitation for further processing. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Darshna Patel with Alice Sanitation. Purpose of this presentation today is request board authority to execute amendment number 1 to contract number C-119907 with West Coast Rendering Company for dead animal processing and recovery services. The term for this contract is for 5 years with renewal option to extend service for an additional 3 years. So contract executed in 2011 and will expire in November 30th, 2019. The changes proposed in this amendment contract are removal of performance bond surety requirement and update of all standard contractual requirements not included in original contract, including first source hiring audience, bidder certification form CEC 55 and Iron Contracting Act of 2010. And removal of performance bond insurance language will not affect city services rendered to the city by the contractor nor the contractual cost to the city. So LSN recommend board approve this contract. Thank you.
One moment. Any questions? Give me just a moment. I thought I was on number 7.
Item 8.
So, wow, somehow we're confused. So I thought I was reading number 7, which says contract amendment number 1 with West Coast Rendering Company for dead animal processing and recovery services. Is that what we're on?
That is item 7, yes.
That's 7? Okay.
8.
Okay, so, yeah, this, I'm reading right here on the agenda, so maybe we're looking at a... Okay, for some reason my agenda has it as number 7. So is it 7 and 8? Number 8 I have...
Number 7 is a change order for highway safety improvement project.
Number 8 I have a change order for highway safety improvement project. Okay. Well, that's, I guess, the benefit of being the president. Somebody's playing a joke on me by messing up my agenda items. Okay, so thank you for, okay, so thus my confusion about my documents here and why I was asking for a minute. So let's go with our assistant executive officers, because my agenda item says 7, yours all says 8. What number do you have, Mr. Mendoza?
I've got the same as you, Mr. President.
Okay, so for the record, it's going to be number 7 in the official record. Okay, so everybody else, look at number 8, but it's number 7, since that's the one that we're going to have posted. Regarding, Commissioner Davis, we'll start with you. Okay. We're talking about the dead animal amendment contract.
Correct.
All right, so we're at least clear on the substance.
Correct.
Right, go ahead, sir.
So I just really have a couple of questions for you to clarify better for me what we're doing in this particular motion. We have an issue of a performance bond for the prime contractor on this project. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so the motion says that we exempt their requirement from having the performance bond, correct? And why is it that they don't necessarily need the performance bond in this circumstance?
It's like WCR is the West Coast Rendering Company apply for assistance from the City Surety Bond Assistance Program through the Alliant Insurance Services. And Alliant issued an invoice to WCR for first year premium of the bond and was promptly paid. But then provided bond to the city on behalf of the WCR but never issue any subsequent year invoices over the remaining 4-year period. So Alliant only realized their omission when contractor renewal option was approved by the Board of Public Works on October 2016. So they sent a demand for payment to WCR for previous 4 years for bond coverage. And WCR refused to pay. So our risk manager received email from them. City covered that payment, and our risk management make a decision that we are going to remove insurance bond.
So we're covering their performance bond? The city is, you're saying?
Pardon?
I'm asking, did you tell me that the city is covering their, I'm not so sure I understood you clearly. My question to you was, why did they not have to have the performance bond? And then you were reading to me that there was some involvement with the city as it related to that provision. I guess your colleague also wanted to comment.
Good morning, President and Commissioners, Executive Officer, City Attorney. My name is Nat Isaac. I am an employee of City of LA for the past 28 years and on the Dead Animal Project working with my supervisor, Darshna Patel. To answer your question, the city risk manager requested that we removed the performance bond requirement. He gave us several reasons. I can give you those reasons. Basically, the Little Miller Act only requires city contracts to have a $100,000 bond or more for construction projects, construction contracts. It doesn't require for service contracts. So this project is a service contract, and so it's not required by that. In addition, West Coast Rendering, the dead animal processor, was a participant in the city's bond assistance program for several years successfully, and so it was deemed a very low risk. Finally, and more importantly, there are no other options for the city to render dead animals other than with West Coast Rendering. If we didn't use West Coast Rendering, we would use landfill disposal, which would not help or contribute towards our diversion goals. So there's really no need for a performance bond since there is no other provider out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Repenning.
Just out of curiosity, where is their facility located?
It's in Vernon.
In Vernon? That's what I thought. Were they in the news recently? Something about an odor, air quality. Are there air quality issues that they're... Come on up.
Occasionally, there are air quality issues. The AQMD is heavily regulating the rendering facilities. There haven't been any that I have known of, been aware of.
Okay, I just want to make sure, as you know, those communities are pretty impacted by a lot of environmental justice issues, and I just want to make sure that we're not, I'm sure that, we've worked with them for years, but if you guys could just double check, because I feel like there was something in the news recently about...
They are located right across from the Eggside, former Eggside facility, which has had many problems and is being, regulated by the state.
Mr. Jordan, I will reveal one of our brief conversations. I just asked Mr. Jordan a moment ago. This is a little odd for what we normally see in the Board of Public Works, and I didn't know. I was asking him if they might need a day or so to look at this because I'm going to want his approval on the record for this. You may have answered his questions, though, but Commissioner Penning has raised another question that I at least would like a little more information on. I'm inclined to hold this over for a week. Mr. Jordan, were you satisfied with your, or do you still think a day would be helpful for the city attorney's office to just glance over this so I can have an oral approval on the record?
My questions were largely answered by the staff's report. I did review the letter from the city's risk manager that,
Right.
that is
It
consistent.
was transmittal number 3.
Yes, and I do note in the report that the amendment itself, which accomplishes the removal of the requirement, has already been approved by my office. So
So you're okay?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Though I agree that it's certainly an unusual thing. And then also for the record, just because the law does not require a bond does not mean that we're not allowed to have a bond.
Understood.
But at that point, it is more of a discretionary matter.
Right. Fair enough. Is there any kind of deadline on needing our approval today?
Officially, no.
Okay.
Well, actually, I should say officially yes, but technically no. The reason is we're continuing to pay the invoices from West Coast Rendering, even though at this point they do not have a bond in place as per the contract. But eventually, those are monthly payments, so we're not due for another few weeks on a payment.
I'd like for you all to come back on this item a week from today, which is December the 6th. And we'll try and put you at the top of the agenda so you don't have to wait too long. I don't offer that often, but we'll make an effort. If you could look into, or have somebody at your team look into Commissioner Penning's inquiry regarding the news reports, granted that they're across the street from Exide, I saw the same news report and I read it, and I'm thinking that there might be more than just the Exide issue, and we'd at least like to know it before we take a vote on this, one way or the other. And if you find out earlier, you can let us know, but just for purposes of, by email, but just for purposes of our agenda, we would want to kick it over to a week from today so we can properly notice it on the agenda. Okay? Thank you both. So agenda item number...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Number 7, as we're calling it, pursuant to the official agendas, will be continued to a week from today, December 6th. Thank you, everyone. What is agenda item number 8 on mine, but I think it's agenda item number 7 on my colleagues, is a change order for Highway Safety Improvement Project, cycle 4 through 5, recommending that the board approve the amended construction funding for the HSIP cycle 4 through 5 and increase the contract by $229,271 plus contingency as discussed in the report. Secondly, authorize the general manager of the Department of Transportation to issue 2 concurrent change orders. Change order bid items 2 through 14, serial number 1 to delete $76,387. And then change order bid item number 130, serial number 1 to add $305,658. This will delete the original scope installing a rectangular rapid flashing beacon and instead will install a new traffic signal at Temple Street and Patton Street, resulting in a net addition of the $229,271 plus 10% contingency to the contract with KDC Incorporated doing business as Dyne Electric. Funding for the project has been acquired from Measure R, Fund 51Q. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Shane Smith. I'm from LADOT. I'm the resident engineer overseeing the construction of the HSIP Cycle 4-5 project, which this falls into. And as you mentioned, the project was originally bid out with this intersection as a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, which is crosswalks with the signs for the lights that flash when you push a button. But LADOT revisited the issue and feels that should actually be a full signalized intersection. And so this is seeking to get the funding to upgrade it from the RFB to a full signalized intersection.
Any questions on this agenda item? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Shane, thank you for this. I remember in the briefing we were going over this and the rationale for the upgrade. And if DOT is requesting it, obviously it's something that we should take in consideration. It'll provide more safety, more definitive safety for pedestrians and vehicles. where we, can you comment where we're getting the additional money?
It's coming from Measure R.
So we're just drawing down on Measure R more,
Correct.
increasing that amount? Okay. I'm fine with this. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on agenda item number 8 officially? Commissioner Davis.
Yes, so moved.
Commissioner Davis has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 8. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Number 9, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council Districts 3, 5, and 6 for the Tarzana West Side Series to multiple high-voltage conversion fiscal year 2017-18. It's a street lighting project. The estimate is $2,165,000. The bid receipt date's January 10th, 2018. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 9 forthwith? By Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda items 10 and 11 we will hear on Friday. Agenda item, let's go to number 13. Oral report back from the Metropolitan Transit Authority on public outreach and community complaints received, if any, related to the street closure approved by the Board of Public Works on October 25th, 2017. Bureau of Engineering representatives are here as well. And gentlemen, you show up again. It amazes me that 3 more weeks has gone by. Feels like it's been 3 days.
Yes, we're
And we
nearing
had we had Thanksgiving in between all of it.
and we're nearing the end of the year.
Here we are.
What can you say?
I understand that our complaint record was not as good as it was the first time around. Is that right? Something happened at 3 in the morning?
No.
Okay.
We received a complaint from a resident of Mercury Apartments.
Is that the high rise that's adjacent, or
the high rise? It's just a little bit west of Wilshire Western.
Okay.
And we received a complaint on Monday, the 20th, at 3:27 a.m. is when our hotline was reached, and the person.
What was happening at 3:27 a.m.?
SCS was paving and compacting asphalt in an area where they have done a lot of utility relocation. They find a lot of utilities down there. I talked to the person who was complaining, voice to voice, on Tuesday, and heard his frustration and his complaints about the noise. And so I talked to him and apologized, said we were going to try to move forward. And I thought that the design builder would be good for them to talk at this point about what happened.
I'm sorry, it would be what?
It would be good at this point for the design builder, STS, to talk about what happened on the morning, and Monday morning, and discuss what happened, why they did it, and what they hope to do going forward, if that's okay with the board.
Yes.
President James.
Yes, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. I had a question,
One
sir.
moment. Commissioner Jacinto?
If there was a violation of decibels, of noise levels at that time, was it expected, or was it just a byproduct of the scope of work we were doing at that time?
According to our figures, we were not over the noise exceedance, according to our reports.
From design build?
From several places. We also monitor the sensors there. But according to our records, we did not go over the threshold.
Okay,
Are we working 24 hours a day there?
Not 24 hours a day, many hours of the day.
Okay.
Basically, we are allowed to work till 10 p.m. with noisy work, and then until 6 a.m. for non-noisy work. And then we go back into the day schedule.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Just give us your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Billy Parent. I'm with Skanska Trailer Shea. We're the design builder for Section 1. I'm joined by Jeff Bender behind me, who is the construction manager for the work at Wilshire and Western. So as Ned mentioned, on the 20th that morning we were paving to reopen the roadway, Wilshire Boulevard, by 6 a.m. for that peak hour Monday morning traffic. We are committed to minimizing the impacts to the community and avoiding this type of complaint in the future. So our commitments, number one, we want to schedule these activities to not occur at those timeframes in the early morning hours to try to avoid, disturbing the residents in the high-rise.
Did something happen? I'm sorry, I missed your last name. I got the first name, Billy.
Last name is Parent,
Okay.
P-A-R-E-N-T.
Okay.
Yep.
So did something happen in the schedule that pushed this work later to try and get to the 6 a.m. morning rush?
We did encounter some unexpected things in the potholing that was occurring that weekend, which then pushed the paving to the early morning hours.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
A little bit of a chain effect. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. So those previous weekends prior to the weekend of the 20th, we were able to accomplish the paving before those early morning hours. So scheduling's one. Number two, since receiving this complaint, we found a location on the south side of Wilshire Boulevard where we can install an additional sound mitigation barrier that's between the work and where the resident lives up in the tower. So that's number two.
What type of sound barrier is that?
It is a 12-foot noise mitigation blanket that actually folds down at the very top to try and capture some of that noise.
It's kind of like a noise screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So that's number two. Number three, we'll continue to monitor, respond, and adjust where possible based on the complaint. So we're committed to, always following up, not ignoring these types of complaints. So that's our plan moving forward. We're happy to answer any questions about the work.
Okay. Well, my colleagues may have something. What I was going to ask for was the sound barrier, and you've addressed that before I asked for it, so that's good. So, Commissioner Jacinto, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I think the
come back with
mitigation is
something,
is appropriate. Thank you for doing that. Scheduling, obviously, this is a critical section of Wilshire, and if we understand what's going to happen in the future, Curtis, right, we're going to be doing jet grounding. We're going to be doing much deeper and noisier work. So I think the more we could work together to schedule it accordingly and not have those, the impact of working in the middle of the night and just limiting it to when we have the ability to work with lots of noise is the key here. So we just got to keep it tightened up as we move westward.
To Commissioner Jacinto's point, the noisier work that's going to be coming in the near future during the closure, that's work that, as you just described, sir, that's going to be done during the earlier hours of the day, the daytime more or less, right? And earlier hours into the evening, before 10 p.m.
That's our agreement, that the noisier work is done no later than 10, and there's other work we can do after that. For instance, the delivery of concrete or the pouring of concrete is not a very noisy work. So, for instance, for piles, which are drilled, by the way, they're not pounded, that drilling has to happen before 10. Putting concrete in those holes can happen after.
Okay.
So there is a segregation there between what's considered noisy work and what's considered less noisy work.
Okay. Thank you. Was that the only complaint that we had?
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, my optimism stays intact. So thank you, Mr. Parent. I appreciate the response. Curtis, thank you. And thanks for the advance notice. We had heard about the complaint before this morning, so that's helpful for us. So 3 weeks from today puts us at, I'm trying to get a report right before the holiday. It's December 20th, right?
December 20th, yes, but we're not in session
We're not
that
meeting.
day.
Can you guys come in on Monday the 18th?
Sure.
That's our last meeting before we go on recess. Because then we'll do Monday the 18th, and then after that we have it might be a little bit longer meeting, but after that we're on a 2-week recess. So we'll see you all on Monday, December 18th.
Same time, 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it. I will tell you this. One moment. You can if there are no complaints by, say, Friday, December 15th, then Mr. G will let us know, and you won't need to come, and we'll continue the item until after the holiday. Okay? There we go. Let's try that. All right. Thank you all. We have, so the oral report will be received. We have another oral report this morning, whichever one it is. Personal Services Contracts, number 12. Yes, Bureau of Engineering, Mr. Cirillo, and we have Bureau of Sanitation. We'll start with engineering.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Cirillo, Bureau of Engineering. I'm reporting on a memo that was sent to the board on November 1st regarding the status of contracts that are going to expire within the next 90 days. In the memo, we listed 11 contracts for our geotechnical and environmental services that will be expiring on December 10th. We have 4 remaining contracts still active in the geotechnical field. Those are active until March 2019. So even though these are expiring in the next 90 days, we still have a vehicle to procure geotechnical and environmental services up until March 2019. Additionally, on Monday, the 27th, the Geotechnical Engineering Division came to board, and the board granted approval for execution of 11 new geotechnical and environmental consultant contracts for a 5-year period. Those contracts are currently being circulated for execution and should be executed within a few weeks, in which case we'll have the 11 new contracts plus the 4 remaining contracts active for use. Those are the only contracts that we have shown to be expiring in the next 90 days, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for our Bureau of Engineering? All right, if I have any questions, I'll come back to you, sir. Bureau of Sanitation, Felicia Ansley. Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm getting over a cold, so hopefully I won't cough.
So is Commissioner Davis. All right. See, I'm wishing you well there, Commissioner Davis. Go ahead, ma'am.
So good morning to all of you and Bureau representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. We have 2 contracts expiring in the next 120 days. One will be renewed and one will not be renewed. The one that will be renewed is for specialized high voltage services with Myron Electric Construction Corporation. That is contract number 123701. That expires on March 9th. So the project manager is currently drafting the board report. Hopefully we can get that to you fairly quickly. They are exercising the second of 3 one-year renewals on that contract.
Do they plan, Ms. Ansley, on going back out, in essence, to the market after the end of the 3rd renewal?
I'm sorry, say again?
We're about to exercise the second of 3
third,
renewals.
yeah.
Once we get to the 3rd renewal, are we going to go back out to the market for a new contract?
I believe so. I'll have to double check.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, and USA Waste is the one that's expiring.
Yes, the contract that won't be renewed is with USA Waste 113188. That expires on March 17th. It is for the implementation of a multi-family residential recycling program. Of course, because of the implementation of Recicla earlier this year, the franchise hauler will go ahead and assume those services. So the contract will lapse, and that concludes my report.
Understood. Any questions for the Bureau of Sanitation? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Speedy
you.
recovery. We appreciate that. And Mr. Mendoza, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Then we are adjourned this morning.